The trade deadline is done and dusted. Let's talk about it. First pitch is next, guys. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 42 of Bringing the Heat. My name's Cody Pyatt. With me, as always, the four-seam fastball co-host, the Will Sism. Will, how was your week, my man?
It's a good week. Trade deadline is come and gone. Really exciting week. Dude, we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Truer words have never been spoken. This is going to be a little bit of an unorthodox episode. We're going to hit the standings, but instead of just talking through them, we're going to kind of let the trades and how that all fell to be kind of lead the episode. So we always like these ones where we get to chat back and forth, and it's a little bit less structured. So we're really looking forward to it. Let's dive in real quick, Will, just to let the people know where we are. We made it to August. My goodness gracious, slow down summer. Kids are back in school, correct, Will?
Yeah. I know our county sure went back, so it's that time.
It seems earlier than when I was in grade school.
It does.
But what do I know? Hey, all right, let's dive into that AL East. Still just five studly teams across the board, really. Let's start with Baltimore, 67-42. They're 2 games up on Tampa Bay at 66-45. Toronto, 60-50, 7.5 games back. They're 5-5 in their last 10. You got the Red Sox. They were looking really solid. They've kind of slowed down, 57-51. The Yankees at 57-52, a half game back of them. Everybody's 10 games out of first in that division. That's a lot of fun. Let's transition to a little bit less fun division, the AL Central. Any AL Central fans, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm starting to treat them like we treat the Oakland A's, but
they're probably saying the same thing.
I mean, if they're honest with themselves. You got Minnesota, they are 56-54. They're 2.5 games up on Cleveland, who is 53-56, 3 games below 500. Detroit, 48-60, 7 games back. You have the White Sox at 43-67. Boy, did they just sell everybody. 13 games out of first. And then Kansas City still playing baseball. Hottest team in baseball on that 6-game winning streak.
They are.
Look out, we're making a playoff push in KC.
Can they still win the division?
Yeah, it's probably it's going to be something pretty special. They'll make it 30 for 30 if they can pull that off for sure. In the West, man, this is just getting good. We're going to talk all about it. The West, 63-46 is the first place Texas Rangers. Houston Astros at 62-48, a game and a half back. Seattle, 57-52, 6 games out of first. The Angels, man, they went all in, but it has not panned out. To this point, they're 56-54, 7.5 games back. And then 33.5 games out of first place. Will, can you guess what team that is?
I think it would be the Oakland Athletics.
Dude, can't get anything past Will. There's no doubt about it. All right, let's move on to the National League, Will. One team has 80 losses we just spoke about. This team is the first to 70 wins. The Atlanta Braves, man, they are
just a juggernaut.
It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. 70-37. We're going to talk more about them in a bit. 12 games out of first. So the last place team in the AL East is closer than the second place team in the NL East. The Phillies, 59-50, 12 games back. Then you got Miami, a game and a half back of them. The New York Mets, 50-58, and Washington, 46-63. Now we go to the Central, 59-51 is the first place. Milwaukee Brewers, half game back, are those pesky Cincinnati Reds. Don't look now, but you got the Cubs at 56.
Here comes the Cubbies.
Dude, I think we've kind of been on this.
Yeah.
This is like a sneaky good team. 56-54. They're 3 games back, and they are the hottest team in this division.
Yes, they are.
Oh, man. They got Pittsburgh and St. Louis. They're still doing their thing, battling out for last place. In the West, you got the Dodgers playing Dodgers ball, 3-game winning streak, 62-45, 2.5 games back of them is the San Francisco Giants, 61-49. Arizona, 57-53. They are 6.5 games back. They have sputtered out of the break. Huh, Will?
Yes, they have. That lineup is struggling, man.
Yeah, we're going to see if they can turn it around. They made some moves we're going to talk about. You got San Diego, 54-55.
They're looking better.
They are. They're playing a more inspired brand of baseball. That's what I'm talking about. And Colorado, 42 wins. I mean, claps for them. So that's exciting. Again, they really didn't trade that many pieces. So
They didn't have much.
That's true. That's true. Maybe someone wanted to trade for Chris Bryant. Just put him on their IL. I don't know.
Right.
So that's kind of where the standings sit, guys. We are going to move on. We're going to hit the sizzle. Look out.
Ooh,
Man.
getting hot.
It is, dude. It's toasty over here. Like it's not toasty enough outside. We just turned up the heat even more. Let's head into Heat Check Player of the Week. I really like your pick, Will, because like we said before I hit record, this guy just under my radar, buddy. Tell me about him.
Yeah, this week there were actually several guys that were under consideration. There were several guys that had great weeks. Namely, honorable mention goes to Freddie Freeman, who's been absolutely amazing the past couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out, I've hated on this guy for a long time, I feel like, but Bobby Witt has had a very, very good week, actually a very good couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah.
So hopefully he continues to do this, and who knows? Maybe next year his average draft position will be up to top 5. So we'll see.
It'll be 6.
Right, but my player of the week this week, I'm going just slightly kind of off the grid a little bit, even though he plays on an incredible ball club. I'm going Ryan Mountcastle. This guy actually had a pretty lengthy IL stint earlier in the year. He was battling vertigo, and apparently it was pretty serious, but he is back. And, dude, did he have a week. He against the so Baltimore opened this week against interdivision rival Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore ended up winning 3 out of 4, and Ryan Mountcastle, he only in the span of 4 games, I believe they only got him out 3 times in the span of 4 games. So that just tells you how how good he was.
That dude's hitting a beach ball right now.
Right, so shout out to Ryan Mountcastle and those red-hot Baltimore Orioles.
Oh, man. Yeah, I was telling you before I hit record, I have a weekly lineup league. I just left him off because he has been subpar. And when he came out of the IL, I had another first baseman that's kind of supplanted him, but maybe I need to look at that dude. He's looked good. This was a guy that was replaced in the lineup by Ryan O'Hearn.
Yeah.
Famed Kansas City legend. Okay,
right.
I'm sure they'll retire his number. So he's had a pretty rough season, but maybe this is the start of something new. I think that's High School Musical. So look out, guys. But it's man, what can't go wrong for this team? I mean, this team is hitting on every single cylinder, and I'd say it's fun to watch, but we're Red Sox and Rays fans, so. It's a little bit like you grit your teeth and just hope you don't play Baltimore anytime soon until they cool down.
Yeah.
Speaking of people who are just red hot, turning it around, I'm going to go with a Houston Astro co-ace, I guess at this point. I was going to say ace, but, JV coming back into the fold. Framber Valdez will be his number 2 in the rotation. He tossed a 93-pitch no-hitter versus the Guardians the other night, and man, they couldn't barrel him up for anything in this world. They had
no chance.
It was. I watched a lot of the game. It was a little bit of like a boring.
Yep.
I didn't realize it was I had the volume down. I didn't realize it was no hitter until like the 7th inning. Just because he's just carving. He was doing his thing, just carving people up, keeping everybody off balance. It was the lineup for the Guardians right now. They made some trades. That was not advantageous to a good baseball hitting lineup.
I'm starting to feel bad for Jose Ramirez.
He's like on an island.
Yes.
It's literally him. If you can get him out, there are 8 other big-time outs, whether it's just people not having good seasons or prospects they've called up who just haven't panned out yet.
Yep.
But it is good for Framber to come in and do this. He's had a really rough month of July. And then coming in August to do this. His last 3 starts, his ERA of 9, a whip of 1.80, and he's given up 15 earned runs in 15 innings pitched. I was listening to a fantasy baseball podcast the other day, and someone emailed in and is wanting to sit Framber, and this is the reason why you can't, is because you gotta roll with your aces. It's a long baseball season. People are gonna have ups, people are gonna have downs, but I mean, can you imagine having this guy on your bench, Will? I mean, that is ripping your head at this point, huh?
Yeah, it'd be brutal. But yeah, no, I mean, I agree with everything you said. I mean, obviously Houston needs him to be kind of their 1A or 1B to Justin Verlander now. Because, I mean, let's face it. I mean, Justin Verlander is obviously a first ballot Hall of Famer, and we're going to talk about this here in just a little bit when we get to trades. But Framber Valdez, I mean, he has emerged over the last couple of years as I mean, you could make an argument that, he could be a game one starter. You go with the experience in Verlander probably just because he's been there before a bunch of times. But Valdez has got everything you need in an ace. Yeah. And for him to go out and do what he did, though, even though it was Cleveland and their lineup's not very good right now, that was impressive. Like, that, shout out to him. What an incredible outing. Only 93 pitches.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty fun to watch. I will say I'm facing a guy who has Framber Valdez on his fantasy team this week, so that wasn't cool. But outside of that, it was pretty neat stuff.
Yeah, one last point, and then we'll move on. I thought it was interesting. A lot of people were saying two things because it happened on the same night that JV came over from New York.
Yeah.
You're like, is it any coincidence that a guy who has 3 no-hitters in his career gets traded to your team, and then you twirl one? And then I read a comment the other day that said it was the second best thing that happened to Houston that night. So I don't know where you land there, but man, this is a team that they've all been there before. They got the band back together. We've said many times on this podcast, it hurt when JV walked out of that door.
It did.
He just walked back in it.
Yeah.
And so, listen. If you're a Texas Rangers fan, I'm not nervous. I'm not nervous. All right, Will. Hey, let's hop back on this What's on the Grill with Will. We are going to keep rolling with the rest of the trades. We left off on Saturday. Max Scherzer news had just dropped. He went to Texas, so we talked about that. So we're going to pick up with Sunday morning. I'm going to roll through. We talked about this. There's 27 deals that I have marked down. I want to hear Will's thoughts on the ones that he wants to tell me about. So we're going to kind of run through kind of rapid speed, and then Will will give his 2 cents. It's more than 2 cents to me, though, guys. It's like
more like $2.
No, $2. You're like you're like 20s. A C note, $100 bills, $200 bills. Here it comes from Will. Here we go. So rolling with the trades. Sunday morning, Blue Jays received Jordan Hicks from the Cardinals for a couple of prospects, so they tightened up that bullpen. That was the day after Jordan Romano went to the IL with I believe it's a back issue now.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of a bummer, but good for the Blue Jays doing their thing. Texas Rangers shored up that rotation again with Jordan Montgomery and Chris Stratton for a few prospects from the Cardinals, so part of the Cards sell-off there. Atlanta swapped Tyler Hearn for Nicky Lopez, a little bit of depth. Then you have L.A. receiving C.J. Cron and Randall Gritchett from the Rockies. Those are 4. What sticks out to you?
Yeah, I would say, starting at kind of the top, I would say that the Blue Jays, I think that was a much-needed deal for them. I think kind of their Achilles heel in some respects is the bullpen. And if they can you think about the Blue Jays, the way they're constructed, you think of their starting pitchers, outside of Alek Manoah, they've really been fairly solid. You think about Gossman's been an ace for most of the year.
Yep.
Barrios has had somewhat of a bounce-back year. And then you've got guys like Yusei Kikuchis, who's been kind of hit or miss. But I say all that to say, if they can just get 5 or 6 innings out of these guys and then be able to turn it over to, assuming Romano gets healthy. So if you've got Jordan Hicks, 6th or 7th inning, Eric Swanson, 8th inning, setting up, and then you've got Jordan Romano in the 9th, hey, we've got something there, right?
That ain't bad.
And then you've got a guy like Tim Meza, who's a lefty specialist that you can throw in there based on matchups. So I really like that move for the Blue Jays. I think it was much needed. And it feels like it kind of, I don't know, feels like it rounds out their team a little bit better. So I really like that move for them. Yeah. And then the other one that I was going to mention is the Jordan Montgomery trade. I think that the Cardinals did the right thing. I think they needed to move as many of their pitchers out of there as they could and just kind of start afresh.
Yep.
But I'd also really like this move for the Rangers. I think the Rangers are going all in, and I think they should. They've got a team that's good enough. And going out and getting Max Scherzer, going out and get Jordan Montgomery, once Eovaldi gets back from the IL, I mean that's a good solid rotation.
Oh, yeah.
I still have major questions about their bullpen, and I think that might be that team's Achilles heel, even though they went out and got Chapman.
Yeah.
But having said that, I do like the move. I think the Rangers have a solid rotation now. And you know what? I think they've got I think they match up really well against pretty much anybody they can face in the AL come playoff time.
Yeah, I know I'm with you, dude. I was reading up on Jordan Montgomery the other day. You know he averages 6 innings a start.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. He's the definition of just a professional who's going to go out and give you a chance to win every time.
Yep.
That's an unbelievable stat. I would be curious to know how many pitchers in Texas just grabbed him. I mean, good for them. He could have helped about 15 different teams, including my Red Sox. I mean, this is just going to be a rant about how I wanted the Red Sox to make more moves. So everybody buckle up for that. Yeah, you hit on those two. Real quick, Taylor Hearn swap for Nicky Lopez. Maybe on the surface, not a lot to hit here. But Taylor Hearn actually got moved from Texas to Atlanta. Pitched an inning for the Braves. So, if you're keeping score at home, this is a man who now has 3 chances to get a World Series. He'll win one if the Braves win. He'll get one if Texas wins. And KC, man, they haven't lost since he got traded over. Maybe this dude is the answer, okay? So you got 3 opportunities there. So I'll be on the lookout for that. CJ, we'll like that one. I love it. Here we go. CJ Cron and Randall Grichuk. Hey, this is – listen, if you're going to keep Ohtani, this is what we would have wanted you to do. You know,
right.
So go out and make these deals. CJ Cron, he's been dealing with some injuries, but when he's been playing, he's had a sneaky good season, especially against lefties. And then Randall Grichuk, I think his OPS is in the upper 800s. So
yeah, he's a solid player.
These are guys who now we're going to see how they play outside of course.
Right.
But these are guys that only help your team.
Yep.
Okay. So let's see it pan out. Hadn't panned out so far, but you know, I'm rooting for the Angels, man. I want to see Trout and Ohtani in the playoffs. I really do. It's just AL is stacked.
It is.
It is stacked.
It's an uphill climb.
It sure is, man. It's going to be a lot of fun down the stretch, no doubt. Moving on, let's keep rolling here. Aaron Savali to the Tampa Bay Rays for your main man. This was like a top 3, top 5 prospect for the Rays. Kyle Manzardo, he's going to the Guardians. I want to hear your thoughts on that. But first, Arizona Diamondbacks received Paul Sewald for Josh Rojas and a couple of prospects from Seattle. Josh Rojas, the big name. They're getting back there. The Brewers went out and said, we want another bat.
Yeah.
We want another bat.
Yeah.
They got us the 235 average hitting Martin Canna. Is that not the most Brewers move you've ever seen? It's like you could have scripted it before the season started that this was going to happen. And then another one that I'm pretty pumped about. This guy went on a tear with his new team. 8 out of 9, I believe, his start with the Cubs. Third base stud, Jamer Candelario. I was like, how do you say his first name? Jamer Candelario. And I believe he was drafted by Chicago. So it's kind of like a reunion.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So, yeah, those are 3 pretty big moves. A little bit more saucy than the first few. Will, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, starting with the Rays. So I'll be honest. When I first saw the Savali move, I was like, but
yeah,
the more that I've like kind of digested it, the more that I've read on it a little bit, it's a total Rays move. Mm-hmm. So Savali's still under team control for about 2.5 more years. So it's not like he's just a pure rental because Tampa Bay is not really into that. I was a little bit bummed that they did give up a first base prospect in Manzardo because they were really high on him by all accounts. But here's the thing. Savali is a big league pitcher. That rotation has been decimated by injuries. It just got another blow the other day. We're going to talk about it later. So that is something they had to address. And like I said, the biggest thing is the Rays are going to still have Savali under team control for another couple of years after the season. So I'm good with that move. I think it's something that they actually did need. And here's the thing. If McClanahan's okay, and we'll see.
Yeah.
But if you have a rotation in the playoffs of McClanahan, Glasnow, Eflin, Savali, hey, I'll take my chances on, I feel like I've got a shot against anybody and everybody if I've got those 4 guys to start to head up my rotation. And so I like the move. I really do.
Let's hit it now since we kind of I just feel like it might be a little easier. So Shane McClanahan goes to the IL. I think it's 15 days, but who knows at this point. Left forearms tightness, I guess. So dude, as a Rays fan, I mean, a scale 1 to 10, how concerned are you with this? Because we've seen this before. He had a rock star first half and then kind of trailed off. I don't know if it's arm tiredness. I do not recall what it was last year. I know it was like
it was a shoulder last year.
Okay, I was gonna say it was the same kind of deal. What are your thoughts on that, man? I mean,
yeah, man. If you give me a scale of 1 to 10, man, I'm gonna be honest. I'm at a 12. I mean, this is Shane McClanahan or Tyler Glasnow. You choose either one. Here's the thing: like the Rays are, believe what you want, but the Rays are built around pitching, and so, if someone would have told me, Wander Franco is going to get hurt, I would be bummed about it, but I wouldn't think that it was just an absolute death blow to any World Series hopes, just because even as valuable as he is to that team, I feel like the way the Rays play and the way that organization operates, I feel like that they somehow, some way can overcome things like that.
Sure.
But when you were talking about arguably a top 3 pitcher in all of Major League Baseball, and just talking about how that rotation would line up in the playoffs fully healthy, it's devastating. And I think honestly it's the difference. If McClanahan's out, who knows, for the year, I mean, God forbid. Yeah. I think it's the difference in them probably getting bounced first round versus potentially going to the World Series. I think it's that big a deal. Yeah. So, as a fan, I'm hoping the guy's okay and then it's something really minor. But, man, anytime you hear forearm with a pitcher, man, it is alarm bells are going off. So I'm just hoping it's something super minor, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, anytime that guy's on the mound, you have the best pitcher. I mean, correct. He's unbelievable. I think I hate for this to keep happening, him get this reputation where he can't make it through a full season. I think the Rays handle their pitchers premium. They do it right. I don't think it's anything like they're overworking them or this, that, or the other. But I don't know. He's electric, but I mean, I don't even want to say it. But little DeGromism, and the fact that he's on another level, but man, he just can't stay healthy.
So we'll see, man. I'm as a Rays fan, I'm as nervous as can be, just waiting on kind of what the timetable looks like. But that's him and Glasnow. That would be the 1 or 2 guys that they just literally cannot replace. Yeah,
that's an unbelievable duo at the top of rotation. There's no doubt about it. What about Paul Sewald going to the Diamondbacks? It's always weird when Seattle or a team, it just happens to be Seattle, they trade their closer. I mean, and they're competing, I guess, air quotes. Takeaways from this?
I really like the move actually for both teams. I feel like Arizona desperately needed somebody who could lock down the 9th inning. And so even though Arizona's been kind of on the skids the last week or so, I think that it was much needed. I think they have to have somebody who they can really count on in the 9th inning. And Sewald has actually proven himself over the last 2 to 3 years as kind of an under-the-radar, really good closer that nobody really talks about. And so I like the move for Arizona. They just got to get the bats going again. But for Seattle, I love the move, man. I really don't think it hurts them that much because they had a guy like Munoz who's got closer stuff. They can move him back into the ninth inning, and I think he'll be fine. They also have a guy like Matt Brash who has incredible stuff, just has to learn how to pitch with it.
Yeah.
So I actually love the move for both teams. And, for Arizona, if they're looking to really contend starting this year, it was certainly much needed.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I guess you pencil Rojas in at second base for them.
Yeah.
I mean, they have him batting ninth right now, so
Yeah.
it's not exactly like a humongous bat. But you're right. I mean, you got a guy like Munoz that you can trust and put back there. But it is kind of like the opposite of a move that a team that would compete would make to me. It's like you're not really you're lengthening the game, because Munoz hasn't been healthy. He's coming back and he's pitched well. But when you're looking at a guy who frequently misses time, I mean, if you can put him in the eighth instead of the ninth, and Sewald has been lights out. I mean, I was reading this article. It was talking about how they love him up there. They love Sewald. He's got his cool little entrance. So I just kind of thought that was odd. But hey, they know what they're doing. Maybe those prospects, they threw some prospects in as well, and maybe they'll pan out. Maybe it's a little bit like a hater thing with Milwaukee, and Milwaukee's doing okay. So. What do I know, Will? I'm just a guy talking into a microphone, okay?
Seattle's just got to get some guys that can hit, man. I just watch them play, and I'm like, man, this lineup just can't consistently score, and it's frustrating, Because I feel like they've got to – other than the lineup, I feel like the pitching rotation is really good with a bunch of young, exciting guys. The bullpen's always been good. I'm just like, all right, guys, let's score runs.
Yeah.
But it gives me Brewers vibes, man.
Yeah, that's pretty
I hate it.
Dude. Yeah, AL Brewers.
Yeah.
That's Seattle. That's awesome. Real quick, anything on Canada or Jamer?
I tell you what, I think Candelario's a good player. I think I've said all year long that I really loved where the Cubs are heading. I wasn't sure if it was going to be quite good enough or not this year. But, hey, it might be. But, man, the Cubs are good. I watch them play. Yeah. I know they got boat raced against the Braves today. The Braves are killing everybody, so it doesn't bother me.
It's unbelievable.
But, dude, the Cubs are on the right track again.
Yeah.
This team is positioned to be really good for the foreseeable future, especially in that division. So I love the Candelario move. I think that solidifies some things for him in that lineup. And then the other one, which one was the other one you mentioned?
Mark Canha.
Oh, yeah, Canha. Well, okay. I applaud the Brewers. Go out and get a bat, but I was hoping that you would get somebody that could hit over 250. So, Brewers are going to brewer.
I can't imagine. It's probably hitting fourth for them. I can't imagine anybody in Milwaukee's overly psyched.
I know.
Hey, what do we know? Let's move on here. Giants, kind of a soft buy. They got A.J. Pollock and Mark Mathias from the Mariners for a little bit of cash. Another pitcher going to the Rays. That always makes me nervous because they got that pixie dust. Adrian Sampson, he's shown signs of doing some stuff with the Cubs, but he'll go over to Tampa Bay and probably win Cy Young next year. So you put money on that. And then let's see. Brad Hand went to Atlanta. Give them another weapon out of the bullpen. That's exciting. You got San Diego. They got. You can talk about. We thought they might sell. They didn't go all the way in to the pool, but they definitely waited in the kiddie pool area. Man, they made some moves. Rich Hill, like that. He's like an incredible immaculate grid answer. I think he's played for all 30 teams. So it's super helpful for me. G-Man Choi, it'll be exciting. Former Ray, dude, it'll be exciting to get this guy back in meaningful baseball games because he is. Dude,
he's got a clutch gene that not a lot of guys have.
Yes. Garrett Cole's just happy he wasn't traded back to the American League, no doubt. Let's see. And then the Jays and Cards make another deal as Toronto making kind of another reactionary move. They picked up Paul DeYoung from St. Louis after Bo Bichette went down.
Right.
So I guess pretty good there. Which stands out to you of those five?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I kind of like the sneaky acquisitions that the Padres made. I don't know kind of what they're going to use Rich Hill for. I don't know if he'll be kind of a lefty guy out of the pen or a bulk guy or an opener. I don't know how they'll use him, but they'll figure it out. And then kind of as you said, I mean, G-Man Choi, I'm telling you, I've watched the Rays a ton over the years, and G-Man Choi is one of those guys that in big moments, especially if you have him pinch hitting against a righty or somebody, high leverage situation, he'll come through a lot of times. And, the Padres are smart. I think the Padres know what they're doing. I think that they were probably relieved that they didn't have to sell, that they still have a shot. And so I kind of like some of these under the radar acquisitions because here's the thing: the Padres, it's not a matter of talent with the Padres. Like they just got to get their guys going, and they're starting to show some signs. So I like the fact that they kept the band back together just to see if they can make a run at it. And just kind of what you mentioned, Paul DeYoung. I mean, he's a solid major league player. He's got good power. But the Blue Jays need him right now because, as you said, Bichette's on the IL. So hopefully he's not out too long, but at least they've got an adequate fill-in right now.
No doubt. Moving on through our trades here. We're kind of on the latter half, guys. There's a lot of moves made on Tuesday. A lot of fun. It's like every time you refresh your phone, it's like, oh, something else cool happened. Let's see. Justin Verlander, we made it to this one, kind of the main course, as it were. Back to Houston. Houston sent their top prospect, Drew Gilbert, and their number 4 in their system, Ryan Clifford, the big red dog, to the Mets. And, dude, I don't know if you've looked into the money aspect of this. The Mets are paying the majority of the money. So you have this situation where you win a World Series with Houston, you sign with another team for 86 over 2 years, and then the third year is a vesting option. I believe Houston offered 80 for 2 years. He went to New York, and now they're getting him back for pennies of what they were going to have to pay. Real quick, Verlander is owed $58 million for the 2023-24 season. The Mets are going to pay $35 million of that. They're going to pay the rest of this season. And then if the vesting offer hits, they're going to pay half of that, so $17.5. So all in the pot, $58.5 million if the vesting option hits is coming over with Verlander. So you want to talk about getting your guy. I mean, the Mets essentially paid for prospects, but it's absolutely nutty. Real quick, what are your thoughts on this, dude?
You know what? If I'm the owner of the Houston Astros, I'm like, gosh, could this have worked? Is this real right now? Is this really happening?
Yeah.
I mean, because, if you're the owner of the Astros and especially a fan of the Astros, you got to be so excited. I mean, here's the thing. I'm trying to stay as neutral as I can. I'm not an Astros fan, but I appreciate what they've done the past few years. But I've said all along, I said going into this season that team was not going to be the same without Justin Verlander walking through that door.
Yep.
And here's the thing. You can say I'm right, you can say I'm wrong, but I don't think they were the same. I really don't, especially in the postseason. If they would have gone into the postseason and not had him as their, at least one or two, I don't think I don't think other teams are going to walk into Minute Maid Park thinking that they can't beat them. I think now that he's back, and I don't even know I don't think he's even as good as he was last year. And I know that's a heck of a high bar that he set.
Correct.
But I think that what he does, just for the mindset, the swagger, the confidence of that team, I just think it does wonders for everybody, including a guy like Jose Altuve who's been through it all.
Yeah.
I think it's going to – I don't know. I think it's a big move for them. I think it puts them slightly ahead of Texas. Now, I still think Texas has a legitimate shot. I don't think by any means the Astros are going to roll through the Rangers if they play them. But I do think that Houston has a slight edge as a result. Whoever comes out of the East, whether it's Baltimore, Tampa, Toronto, I think it would be a heck of a series. But I think this at least gives Houston a very legitimate shot of repeating again. That's where I'm at on it.
Yeah, okay, so yes or no, they're the team to beat in the
Bring
Bring a little heat here, Will.
I'm not ready to say that they're the absolute team to beat yet. I think they're definitely one of the top 2 to 3 favorites.
Yeah.
But I'm not ready to say that they're easily the team to beat like they have been the last couple of years, even with Verlander.
Dude, I might be there. I honestly might be there. I like teams like Tampa. The Shane McClanahan thing, like we talked about, is gonna just
That's going to make or break Tampa right there.
correct
Seriously.
in the playoffs. 100%. I mean, you want to talk about in a 5-game set, you see this guy twice.
Right.
Good luck.
That's a game changer.
Game changer. But I mean, assuming he's there, that team makes me nervous. You got Baltimore, but dude, in a 5-game series or 7-game series, I don't know that they have the pitching to hold up with a team like this.
I think it's a legitimate and fair question right now. I do.
Yeah. I'm putting my money down, dude. I'm saying Houston.
Here's my thing with Houston, though. I love this guy.
Here we go.
But remember how good Christian Javier was last year.
Oh yeah.
Christian Javier. Like, remember last year how good of a year Justin Verlander was having.
Yeah.
And remember, we were talking about who is this Christian Javier guy going out there and dominating every 5th day.
Yeah.
In the World Series, throws a no-hitter. And he has not been anywhere close to what he was last year. So here's what I'm thinking. Here's what they're reminding me of, at least right now, with Verlander and Valdez. They're reminding me kind of the way the Phillies were last year. They had Nola and Wheeler.
Yeah.
That everybody felt really good about, obviously. But in 3, 4, 5, as far as your rotation slotting out, it's like you've got a few question marks. And so if you get in a 7-game series against a really good team, and if that team, whoever they're playing, can steal a game where Verlander or Valdez pitches, that team's going to all of a sudden feel great about their chances in the rest of the series. So that's that scenario right there is why I'm not quite ready to say Astros are head and shoulders favorites above everybody else right now.
Yeah. You forget about the best mustache in the state of Texas and JP France. Okay? He's the game 1 starter, okay?
Dude, he might be like a long reliever or stretch guy for him.
Dude, he's come out of
good.
nowhere.
He's a good player.
Bad. He really is. I like it. He'd be the ace of the Red Sox right now.
But I love the move for Houston. Like, I think it puts them right where, right in the pecking order where they have been in years past.
Yep. It's pretty funny. I saw this thing on Twitter. It was a graphic of Verlander with Houston and Max Scherzer with Texas, and they had photoshopped the hats on. And you could tell that the Verlander hat was photoshopped on. And I was like, he just played for them last year. Could have just used a picture from last year, but it was like off kilter. And I was like, what is going on here?
Can you imagine if Houston and Texas meet in the ALCS and if Max Scherzer and Verlander pitch Game 7 against each other? How crazy would that be?
That'd be nuts. Probably Game 1, but that would be nuts. Can you imagine?
Yeah, but what if it got to Game 7 and they were both like going against each other? That'd be awesome.
Dude, we'll stream it. I'll figure out how to set it up. We'll live stream. We'll
We're
watch
going to do a Bring in the Heat live stream on Game 7.
That's it. We're just going to be like, oh, my gosh. We're just going to be shut out into the 15th inning. They're just going to pitch until their arms fall off. It's going to be the last game of both their careers. Here we go. Mets fans will cry if that happens for sure.
Right.
Okay, moving on. We're gonna fly through these, Will, because we got more fun stuff to talk about, buddy. Phil's Land, Detroit lone all-star, Michael Lorenzen, big pickup for them.
Yeah.
Andrew Chafin to Milwaukee, kind of looks like a Brewer.
It does.
If it was up to me, let's see. Marlins get Jake Berger for Jake Elder from the White Sox, so a little Jakey swap. Texas get top defensive backstop Austin Hedges, Tommy Pham to the Diamondbacks. Baltimore, this is exciting. Baltimore get Jack Flaherty for a few prospects, and man, did he look good against the Blue Jays the other night. Those 5, what are you feeling? That might have been more than 5.
No, you're good.
Check me.
So let's hit on a couple of these. So number 1, dude, I'll be honest. I haven't watched Michael Lorenzen pitch all that much because he's pitched in Detroit.
Yeah.
But he's pretty good.
Yeah, he went 8 innings, 2 earned runs,
Dude,
I think, in his first start. Yeah.
here's the thing you got to think about, though. Think about how the Phillies are constructed.
Mm-hmm.
If they can get, I've said all along, if they can get Trey Turner out of whatever funk is going on right now,
Yeah.
that lineup is really good, top to bottom.
I got it. I know how to fix Trey Turner. You ready?
How? Take
Okay.
away the contract?
Ooh, that's a good guess, but here it is. You have him put his USA jersey on under his Phillies jersey.
Ooh,
Okay.
I like it.
Then he goes out. Maybe even let him keep the batting helmet. I don't know what Major League Baseball have to say about it. Okay.
I like that.
Keep
Okay.
rolling.
Okay. So think about it. So the lineup, assuming Trey Turner at some point comes out of his funk, lineup's solid, right?
Yes, sir.
Think about the experience they've got at the top of that rotation. We've always said this: Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, whatever order you want to put them in. Now you slide in Michael Lorenzen as a number 3. Whatever you need to do with Taijuan Walker if you get to the postseason,
He's
whatever.
been good.
He's been fine. And so all of a sudden, you've got a shot, man. I'm telling you. Now, obviously, the Braves look head and shoulders above everybody right now. That's a that.
They might win out.
You kind of pray you don't get matched up against them the first round, right? So
Correct.
But you know what? What I'm trying to say though is with that lineup and with that rotation, you've got a shot against anybody. Even if you got matched up against the Braves, I've said all along, that's the one team that I really feel like in the National League, even over the Dodgers, that I feel like can somewhat match up with Atlanta and feel like they've got at least a somewhat of a chance in a 7-game series with that rotation and the combination of that lineup. So I love the under-the-radar move. I think it was a great move for Philadelphia. We'll see how it obviously pans out. And then the other one that you mentioned on here that let's talk about real quick, Jack Flaherty. At first when I saw this move, I was like, dang it, Baltimore, why didn't you go out and figure out a way to get Dylan Cease or somebody?
Yeah.
But the more that I think about it, and when I saw him pitch the other day, he looked great.
Yes, sir.
And I tell you what, the more I think about it, what if, because Baltimore's got a rotation of, with all due respect, most people would think of no names.
Sure.
Okay? And we even talked about it before the show started. When we think of Baltimore's rotation right now, the average baseball fan are like, who are these guys? But what if the secret sauce is Adley Rutschman?
Yep.
Kind of like Yadi Molina was for all those years with the Cardinals. And so what I'm trying to say is what if Jack Flaherty just kind of lost confidence these past few years due to a combination of injuries, due to a combination of instability behind the plate, whether it was Yachty, whether it was somebody, and then this year going to Contreras. What if he landed in Baltimore, Adley met him coming off the plane and is like, we got this. We're going to get you back to Jack Flaherty. Yeah. And, man, he looked the part the other day. And if he turns into kind of their ace, dude, I'll give the Orioles as good a shot as anybody in the postseason if they can get essentially 3 out of their 5 starters to just get past 5 innings in the postseason. They can beat anybody.
Yeah, his stuff was on another level. You can call it adrenaline. His fastball was averaging like 97.4 miles per hour, which is like 3 miles per hour higher than all season. So you can say the adrenaline was bumping, first start with a new team, but he made up a really solid lineup. Look pretty middling. So, you hope it works out for a guy like that. And, man, I remember a few years ago the Cardinals do this thing where in spring training all the pitchers gather around. The very first guy gets on the mound, the guy who's going to start the game, and they watch him throw his bullpen. And I remember seeing Jack Flaherty, and he was the guy obviously on the mound. And I was like, this guy's going to be here forever. He's going to be like Adam Wainwright 2.0. Baseball happens, life happens, and I want to see him land on his feet in Baltimore. This is a team. I wonder what that mindset is. It's got to give you the juice when you go from just a terrible situation. We're not winning any games. We're selling off pieces. The season is over. To you're in first place, and you're going after the best record in baseball. I mean, It
and
is,
you're throwing to Adley Rutschman. I'm
Dude.
telling you,
I've got to get a way for you to meet Adley Rutschman.
dude, he's my boy.
If he played for the Rays,
Oh my God,
I don't think you'd ever talk about anything else. Guys,
No.
Will loves Adley Rutschman. Okay,
I do.
That's
I
bottom
do.
line.
I think Adley Rutschman is like, dude, man. I've got all. I've never met the guy, but I've
Yeah.
got all the respect in the world for him. I'm just saying, and I've said this the whole time.
Yeah.
As soon as he got called up, literally as soon as he got called up to Baltimore, they all of a sudden started winning.
100%.
And I just don't think it's coincidence. I really don't.
Yeah. He's awesome. He's the man. And he's like 22, 23.
Yeah.
Cool. He is just cool as ice.
The
man.
franchise.
There ain't no doubt. That's what Wander is, okay, for
Yep.
the race. Okay, here we go. We're gonna run through the rest of these. It's gonna be great, guys. Thanks for hanging in there. Let's see. Philly swap Bailey Falter. He's a lefty who looked pretty solid for Rodolfo Castros. Not a lot to say there. I just got through that tough name. Let's see. Marlins get Josh Bell for Gene Segura and Khalil Watson from the Guardians. I think they've already DFA'd Gene Segura. So Bummersville, maybe the Marlins will pick him back up. Marlins stay active. They acquired Ryan Weathers, he's another lefty, young guy. I think he's 25, and showed some promise with San Diego a few years ago. We're going to see if he can't figure it out. Marlins have a way of developing pitching. We all know that. San Diego got some solid bats. So maybe there's the answer right there. You get a guy like Garrett Cooper to platoon with G-Man Troy. So there you go. Let's see. The Dodgers, they added Ryan Yarborough. So they went out and got that frontline starter we were hoping they would.
Right.
Here we go. 3 more. This one's maybe my favorite of all of them, but it's a little ironic. The next 2. You guys hang with me, and I'll let you in. New York, they make 2 trades. Just nail-biters here. Spencer Howard for cash from Texas, and Keenan Middleton from the White Sox. He's a middle reliever. I think that's what the Yankees do best. They have like the best bullpen in baseball statistically, and their offense is abysmal. They didn't make any moves on that. I'm thrilled about it. Speaking of not making moves, we have one addition. Obviously, we sold Kike in Boston, but we got Luis Urias. Not even the good one. You know what I mean? He's he's okay. He's a middle infielder. I don't know. His brother plays for Baltimore, so that's fun. They'll get to match up. I believe his name is Ramon. And then the last deal to go down, Scott Barlow to San Diego for a couple of prospects from KC. I'm excited about that one. I know he's had a tough year, but I honestly think they've got some arms back half of that bullpen that San Diego can make a push. Any of those stand out to you, Will?
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I'll just say first of all, the Marlins. You know what? Josh Bell's been off this year. He's had a down year, and maybe it's something in the water in Cleveland. I don't know, but
we already talked about the water in Detroit, so maybe we'll stay away from the water.
Yeah, let's stay away from the water. But something's going on in Cleveland to where like nobody can hit.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, I applaud the Marlins for at least making a couple of moves to at least try to strengthen that lineup. We all know that they've got pitching. Pitching is not the issue. So I applaud them for making a couple of moves to, who knows if it's going to be good enough this year. But I really like kind of the core that the Marlins are putting together. I feel like they're heading in the right direction, similar to kind of the Cubs right now.
Yep.
And then kind of to your point, I do like the move that San Diego made for Barlow. I mean, here's the thing. At this time of the year, anytime you can get some high upside arms in your bullpen that you feel good about in high leverage situations, that's what all the really good teams are searching for.
Correct.
And so anytime you can solidify kind of that back end of that bullpen to lock down, when you've got a league to lock it down.
Yes, sir.
That is big this time of year. So I definitely like that move. I'm with you there.
Dude. So that's the deadline. That's all the trades. A lot of people didn't go that we thought. I do want to refresh everybody's memory. I thought about leaving this out, but we can't. We have to be honest. We did a trade deadline draft, okay? And I don't know what it is about my predictions, but here we go. We're going to start with Will. I don't know why Will's over there giggling. We both did a great job. We did our research. So we did 4 rounds. So we each picked 4 players. That's 8 players total. And we had it where if you picked the player and they got traded, you got a point. If you picked the player and they went to the right team, that's 3 points. Not a lot of math had to be done, folks. Okay. Will's first pick was David Bednar to L.A.
I
That's
still can't believe he didn't get traded. Honestly, like I
Dude,
just,
I
there,
don't know.
I don't know, man. Well, Pittsburgh, come on now.
Pittsburgh, come on, help us out. We've been saying David Bednar to L.A. for like 7 years. Okay?
Right.
He got drafted to Pittsburgh. I was like, he's going to L.A. Okay. Dylan Cease to Baltimore. Again.
Should have happened.
Should have definitely happened. Let's see. Lucas Giolito to Texas. There's a point. Will got on the board. You can put it on the board. Yes, that is
Yes,
1-0. That's it. I'm very excited for him. Dude, you were close in division. That was awesome.
It's close.
And then Jack Flaherty to Houston. I think that would have been fun to see, but he went to the Orioles. So there's 2 points for Will.
Yep.
Now I bet you're wondering how'd Cody do? 2 points. That ought to be pretty easy to do, right? Anybody can you just close your eyes and throw darts. Well, here we go. Cody Bellinger to New York. So, yeah, he didn't move. He's a Cub. Cubs decided not to sell. That came out like the day after we posted our episode. I don't know if you remember this. Second pick, Marcus Stroman to Houston. Again, that's a Cub, you know. He's had a rough go. I think he's given up like 31 earned runs in the last 30 innings. Found himself on the IL. So, you know, Houston probably didn't want him. Let's see. Erod to Boston. That didn't happen. We're going to talk about what almost did. I almost got a point. I think I should get a half point. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I'll give you a half point.
I get a half point. Here we go. 0.5 points for me. And then Shohei Ohtani to Tampa Bay. And, I mean, I cannot even begin to tell you guys how soon after we recorded that came out. I think it was that night that the Angels said they're not selling, and then they picked up Lucas Giolito the next day. So automatically I'm out a point because they're not selling Shohei. And then Will gets a point. I'm like, this is great. This is just like Roman Candle. What else is new? Cody's just taking it in the face. It is what it is. All right, so Will wins 2-0. Congratulations to Will. Dude, any words to say as victor in this little draft?
You know what? It was a good fight. You know, Dylan Cease should have gone to Baltimore. David Bednar should have gone to L.A. to give me 8 points.
Should have had 8 points. You're right.
Yeah, but hey, I'll take a win as a win.
Dude, and half points are fun too. So 2 to half point. That's very exciting. Hey, speaking of points, we got a couple click points, okay? I didn't know how to structure this episode. I appreciate you guys hanging on. I feel like I'm going to get text and calls like, what are you talking about? But here we go. Dude, so much stuff went down. We had to touch on everything. And I'm not even mentioning the Herman stuff. We're going to stay away from that. But so let's hit on these 2 things, and then we're going to go with deadline winners and losers. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay. Erod, there was a deal done. It was all but written. Erod to the L.A. Dodgers. That's the actual big name lefty we wanted to bring in, right? And Erod vetoed it. Didn't give a lot of explanation other than just didn't want to have to uproot his family. And I have a lot of different thoughts on this. It's very interesting on a bunch of different levels. Before I go, what are you thinking on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting for sure. I don't know. I mean, I was honestly, when I first saw it, I was really surprised because just me personally, I would just think that if you're a professional at the highest of levels and you get an opportunity to pitch for arguably the top franchise in the sport right now, I would say most guys would jump on that. But to your, what you were saying, if it's truly about, I don't want to uproot my family, man, I got all this respect in the world for you.
Yeah.
And I cannot, if that's the reason, I will never fault anybody for, in this particular case, vetoing a trade if you have that right in your contract. So, like I said, when I first saw it, I was kind of surprised.
Yeah.
But if that is the reason, man, I have zero issues with it.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely with you there. When I first heard it, I thought, it's just a little odd,
Yeah.
Before it came out, before his interview where he said he just
Yeah.
didn't want to move his family. I know there was stuff in the past where he missed a significant chunk of last year dealing with some personal stuff. Obviously, family comes first. It is interesting. He's got an opt-out, so if he didn't like it in L.A., he could just leave after this season. It's interesting not to go ring chase. I mean, I guess that just, there's more to the life than win a World Series, I guess, for a big leaguer. But it is definitely – it's interesting. The only other thought I had was I wonder why – because this all went down with like an hour to go. I remember that's when this came out.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder why, like, did Detroit not go to him and say, hey, we are thinking about sending you to the Dodgers. Would you go? Like, I wonder how much time they put in, and then he came back and said, like, could they have been doing other stuff? Could they have been moving other pieces? It's very interesting. And Dodgers obviously pivoted quickly and picked up Yarborough, which, dude, I don't want to hate on a former Ray.
Yeah, no.
It's a little bit different
You
caliber.
can hate on him.
Yeah, it's a different caliber arm. I really don't know what they're going to do with Ryan Yarborough. I don't know where he fits.
Yeah. I would think, and here's another level to it, and I know we need to kind of move on, but, another level to this is I wonder what the Dodgers offered for him.
I don't know that we'll ever know.
I would have thought it would have at least been a pretty good prospect or two with the way Erod has pitched. And so, depending on the plans long term for the Tigers, this might hurt the Tigers long term, especially if he opts out and he doesn't re-sign.
They get nothing for him.
Right. So, I don't know. It's really interesting when you kind of peel back some of the layers.
Yeah.
But again, it's just we'll see what happens, Yeah.
Maybe we'll never know. He has a 10-team. I just thought he has a 10-team no-trade clause.
Right.
Are the Tigers not aware of those 10 teams? Like is that? And I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out. Maybe I'll do a little Google and see what I can find out on that. Will. Here's what I want to find out, dude. Your thoughts and opinions on the winners and losers of this deadline, because there's so many different ways to look at this.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not always about who gets the number one player. Every team is in a different situation.
Yep.
So, just kind of like when we did our grades a few episodes ago, it's all up to interpretation. So let's start. I was trying to, kind of pare it down a little bit. Pretty hard to do. So I got a lot of teams. We might have to do a little rapid fire. Maybe a thought or two associated with each. Let's start in the American League because that's the way we do it, Will. What about those first place Baltimore Orioles? Winners or losers?
You know what? I think I wouldn't put them in like the top shelf of winners, but I think adding Jack Flaherty is going to prove to be not maybe just monumental, but I think he's going to be an excellent piece for them. And man, I'm a Rays fan, and I will always be a Rays fan. Right. But man, the Orioles have got something special cooking in Baltimore, and man, I don't care who they play come postseason, they are going to be a hard out. Yeah. But I really like the Flaherty move the more that I think about it.
Dude, no doubt. Okay, staying in the East, Tampa Bay, winners or losers?
I like what they did. I hated that they had to give up a top 5 prospect in their organization because that's the lifeblood of Tampa and how they operate. But I think 2 more years of club control for Savali definitely was a need, especially with their injuries in the rotation. I think they were a winner as well. I like what they did. Yeah.
North of the border, Blue Jays obviously got DeYoung and then all those arms in the bullpen. What do you like?
Yeah, I like the acquisition of the bullpen arms, especially Jordan Hicks. I think it was much needed. I think they needed to figure out kind of that 6th, 7th, 8th inning to get to Romano, playing it, play the game backwards essentially when you think about that. And so I think that was a really good move for them. So, again, not one of the top winners of the deadline, but I definitely think it was a good move getting a guy like Hicks.
Yeah. What about Boston?
I got to say it. I don't know. Here's the thing with Boston. If you're realistic, did they really this year's version? Do we really think they have a legit chance? If, in my opinion, I don't. Yeah. So I would have just And for me, I would have loved for them to just go one way or the other.
Correct.
So,
Pick a lane.
you know what? I would have rather them honestly sell a player or two and get something back in return, as opposed to just kind of standing pat and finishing fourth, in the East. I don't like it when teams that are just kind of hovering and they don't really do anything. I think they should have picked a lane, so therefore I'm going to tab them as a loser because it's a lost opportunity.
Dude, 100%. I agree with you. 1,000%. Obviously, the offense is there, but you had to make a change.
Got to get pitching, man.
Got to, and they didn't. It's unbelievable to me. Yep, I'm with you. Speaking of teams that are hovering, the New York Yankees. We're going to hit all the East teams because they're all kind of in contention.
Dude, I was thinking the whole time, I'm like, where are the Yankees? Seriously, I'm thinking the whole time, like, what are the Yankees going to actually do? And they did nothing. So
weird.
It's very weird. And I don't know what's going on in New York. I don't know if they were just waiting on Judge to just come back and save them. That's honestly what it feels like.
Yeah.
But dude, if you watch him play, he is not anywhere close to 100% right now.
No.
The Yankees are in trouble. Rodon hasn't looked good yet. Cole is really the only thing that is keeping them in this whatsoever. Along with a couple of guys that are playing pretty well in the lineup. But, man, I just, again, huge lost opportunity for the Yankees. They didn't do anything.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm with you. Yep. Let's see. Minnesota, Cleveland. Let's hit the Central teams together.
Dude,
Minnesota did – speaking of doing nothing, Minnesota did –
literally nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Minnesota didn't do anything.
But wait for it. Everybody else in the division sold. So – did they add? Is that what addition by subtraction means?
I don't know. I just think it's pathetic though. I mean, if you're winning a division and you don't at least add a bullpen arm or something just to give the clubhouse any hope that the front office is behind this team, I think it's a major loss. Cleveland, I honestly don't blame them. Mm-hmm. Even though they're in second place, that lineup hasn't been able to do anything outside of Jose Ramirez.
Yeah,
so
Bieber going down doesn't help either.
Right. When with Bieber, that was kind of honestly the nail in the coffin, in my opinion, as far as what they should do. Mm-hmm. So Cleveland's just kind of, it's like, all right, let's get to 2024.
Right.
And I actually like what they did. Like, I actually think they did the right thing. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the White Sox. To be honest, I'm surprised the White Sox didn't sell more.
Yeah. I think they sold 6 pitchers. That's the most that I can remember.
Yeah.
Other than when the Cubs, but they weren't all pitchers, but the Cubs had that massive sell a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty neat. Heading out west, Texas, Houston. What do we got?
Those are your big winners right there. I mean, Houston getting to Verlander, and then Texas landing Max Scherzer and Jordan Montgomery. And let's throw Chapman in there. I mean, those are big time moves for both those teams. I mean, those teams were already really, really good, and teams that were, in the bubble of teams that we think of AL contenders for the pennant, we had them there. And now that after the trade deadline, they've made all these moves, they're even more so there. So I love what both of those teams did. I think they're neck and neck. I really do. I would actually give the slight edge lineup-wise to Texas. I would give the slight edge in the rotation to Houston right now. But, dude, if they play in the playoffs in a 7-game series, dude, that's going to be some must-see TV. I think that would be an awesome series.
It'd be pretty neat. I mean, you got Bochy and Dusty going head-to-head. Yeah, that's going to be a fun rivalry for the next few years for sure. Okay, 2 more teams. Seattle, winner, loser.
I actually kind of like what Seattle did. I don't think they're good enough this year to really contend realistically. So them selling off Sewald just because they already have Munoz and Brash emerging as guys that can potentially close. I don't really have a problem with them trading Sewald for some decent prospects for the future.
No doubt. Hey, let's go Angels. Listen, this is the most tantalizing team going into the deadline.
Oh, God.
Didn't pan out like we thought, but what do you think? Winner, loser?
Man, I respect what they did. I'll say
Mm-hmm.
it that way. Would it have been the move that I did? Probably not.
Sure.
Obviously it's easy for me to say that because I don't have money to hand out to these guys, but I don't know. I just get I would just be really surprised if Shohei re-signs with them.
Mm-hmm.
And if he ends up walking out the door for nothing, I just think it's a huge, huge missed opportunity for that franchise and will potentially set that franchise back for several years moving forward to kind of rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, the trades
That's the downside of all of this.
Yeah, the trades they made have their farm system ranked the 29th. It was 30th before the Houston deal.
Right.
Houston pushed those ships to New York to get JV. Now they're ranked 30th. So it's not like you have a team with a bunch of like a good core. It's gonna be Mike Trout and then a bunch of overpaid guys.
Yep.
It's gonna be, dude. It could potentially be pretty gross, and it really hasn't. Like I said, I think they're 3-7 in their last 10. It has not worked out for LA to this point.
They're just so reliant on Shohei, especially with Trout out.
Yeah.
And the rest of the rotation behind Shohei is just not ready.
Yeah.
I just don't have a good feeling that this is going to end well.
Yeah. Real quick, and I hate to even do this, but did you see the meme of it wasn't even a meme, it just happened last night. Shohei was like, he looked like he was tearing up. He left the game. He started the game 4 shutout innings.
Yeah.
Left the game with cramps in his hand.
Yep.
Stayed in, hit a home run as a hitter. This guy's insane. He's unbelievable. And then the Angels gave up a grand slam. It was 3-1. They gave up a grand slam, and it panned at the end of the game. Panned to Shohei, and I have to send it to you, man. It looked like he was in tears. This is a guy that cares, and I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Heading to the National League, Will. Atlanta. I mean, even if they lost at the deadline, they're kind of winners, right?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing: if you're ever a team that honestly didn't really need to make a move, I think it's the Braves. And here's the thing: they got Max Fried back today, and he looked like, I'm not exaggerating, he looked like one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball today. Like, he was unbelievable.
Yep.
And the Cubs have been red hot, and he shut them down. Yep. So it's almost like they're getting Max Fried at the trade deadline. And
it's a great point.
That team is so good.
Yeah. Dude, I think the only way to go about beating them seriously is in a 5-game series and just hoping you can get to them. Because I think in a 7-game set, they're too much depth there.
Yeah, I think the only team that's got a shot in the NL is the Phillies. I really do.
Yeah, or the New York Mets in preseason. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, that's not very nice. Let's go Phillies. What do you think on their deadline?
You know what? I think the Phillies were one of the winners in the National League. I love the move for Michael Lorenzen. I think that's going to pay dividends, especially if they can just get in. And I think they will just get in. Like I've said all along, they just got to figure out Trey Turner, man. If they get him going, I think that team gets to another level. And like I've been saying, that's the one team that if the chips fall correctly, that can scare the Braves. I really believe that.
Yeah, the talent definitely is there. There's no doubt. Miami, they were pretty active. What do you like about them?
You know what? Here's the thing. I don't know if it's going to be enough for this year to get them over the hump. But I really like what Miami is doing, just in direction of the franchise, some of their young players.
Yeah.
I don't agree with what they did with Yuri Perez, but we'll save that for another day. But overall, I like what Miami is doing. Again, I don't know that it's going to make too big of a difference this year, but I think they're on the right track.
Hey, next team, New York Mets. What do you got?
You know what? I think they were realistic about what they needed to do.
Yeah.
And I think they did the right thing. I think they got rid of some guys, guys like Mark Canha that they honestly just needed to shed. And then obviously it's tough getting rid of guys like Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. But I think the time was right. I think if you're going to do it, right now is the time to do it, especially with how good the Braves are. If you're going to retool this year and maybe retool next year. And then let's get serious here in 2025 and beyond.
Yeah. I like it, man. Hey, Brewers added Chafin, Santana, and Canha. That kind of rhymed, didn't it? Could they have done more? What do you think?
God, man, it's just that's typical Brewers right there.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I respect them that they actually did make a couple of moves for some bats.
Yeah.
But I would have just loved for them to go out, and I'm just thinking of a guy off the top of my head. If they got a guy like a Eloy Jimenez from the White Sox, like somebody that's got maybe a little bit more pop potential, I guess, for lack of a better word. I was just kind of hoping that the Brewers would, go after a little bit higher impact bat, but you know what? At least they did something. So it is what it is.
This next team barely did anything. The Cincinnati Reds, dude, they just got Sam Maul from the
A's.
I didn't even put him on the list because
I'll be honest, I thought that they were a loser in all of this because here's the thing. I said in our pre-deadline show, I didn't expect the Reds to go out and just set the world on fire at the trade deadline and go crazy. Yeah. But I did expect them to maybe get an innings eater or two for starting rotation and then maybe a couple of bullpen arms. But only getting Mole from Oakland, I was pretty underwhelmed and kind of disappointed, quite honestly. So I thought that was a missed opportunity, at least for this year.
Yeah, I guess they want to run with their young guys, but man, if Hunter Green and Lodolo can't come back,
they just don't have any pitching, man.
They might be in trouble. Yeah, there's no doubt about it, man. Okay, Chicago, almost done, guys. You guys are doing great. Chicago Cubs, we thought they would sell, they didn't. How do you like where they landed?
You know what? The Cubs are tracking. I love what the Cubs are doing.
Yeah.
I agreed. I mean, they were playing so well heading into the trade deadline. It almost forced their hand that they couldn't sell because they've got a legit shot of winning the division now.
Correct.
And who knows? Maybe Bellinger, maybe he re-signs. Yeah. I don't think he's going to pick up the option, but maybe he re-signs. Mm-hmm.
They like him there.
Yeah, and Stroman, I don't know about Stroman. I don't love him. Mm-hmm. I think he's definitely pitched probably over his head for the first half of the season. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I like that the Cubs kind of did not sell and that they added Candelario. I think that was a really good move, actually.
Yeah, get him out of Washington. Let's get him in some meaningful baseball games and see how it goes. The Dodgers, first place Dodgers, their plan was to trade for every team's shortstop so they couldn't have a shortstop out there and then they'd win their game. No, they got Ahmed Rosario, Kike came back, Lance Lynn, Joe Kelly, Yarborough. No big names, but obviously they were in for Erod, but that fell through. Yeah. How do you like their deadline?
You know, it wasn't the big splash that I think maybe a lot of us maybe expected them. Maybe a Dylan Cease, a David Bednar, you name it, whatever it ended up being. But you know what? I don't question the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. So
that's fair.
Whatever the Dodgers ended up doing, I'm not going to disagree with it because I think that they're as well run as anybody.
Dude, there's no doubt. San Fran with the soft buy like we talked about. He got A.J. Pollock. I mean,
Yeah. The Giants I don't know. The Giants are the National League Rays, and I don't know. I feel like the Giants kind of know what they're doing. I would have loved for them to at least add something other than Pollock. Yep. But, hey, I have a hard time questioning the Giants as well. I think they're super well run, too.
I think you were right on with what you said last episode. They might be making a run for Shohei in the offseason. So we're not gonna make a bunch of big moves right now. We're gonna kind of keep it where it is and just see how it plays out. But yeah, not a lot of fun this deadline. Arizona got their closer for the next few years. That's pretty exciting. What do you like with them?
Like I said earlier, I like the move. I think it was something that they desperately needed. And getting a guy like Sewald, who's, in my opinion, one of the most underrated ninth-inning closers in the league, I think it's exactly what they needed. The problem is that the bats have gone ice cold and the starting rotation has not been good the past week or two. And so until they fix at least one of those two things, Sewald's not going to have too many opportunities. So, for the Diamondbacks' sake, they've got to get back going or San Diego is going to start knocking on the door.
Getting a little closer.
So I'm a little concerned right now about the Diamondbacks. I did not necessarily expect them to go this cold over a decently long stretch.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of the Fathers, they're our last team. We thought they might sell, but they didn't. But we did think that maybe a guy like Soto or even Snell would leave.
Yeah.
They decided to hang. Maybe that's the biggest add of them all. They decided not to subtract.
Yeah.
Do you like what they did?
It's tough, but yeah. I mean, here's the thing, man. Like we've said all along, talent is not the issue in San Diego.
Yeah.
And so if you think that this team, if there's and obviously we don't know this, but if there's no real issues in that clubhouse,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, why not? I mean, because here's the thing. I've said Philadelphia all along as the one team that can challenge Atlanta. If the Padres get their act together
Yeah.
and start figuring it out and playing really good baseball, that's
Mm-hmm.
the other team that I think if you put a lie detector test on Brian Snitker for the Braves as teams you don't want to see in the NL playoffs,
Yes, sir.
it would be San Diego and Philadelphia if San Diego gets right. And so for excitement's sake, I really hope they get in because, dude, they've got the talent to match up with absolutely anybody, including Atlanta.
Yeah. Hey, listen, that top three of the rotation is absolutely disgusting. And
Yeah.
Darvish, Snell, and Musgrove. Playoff Musgrove, Big Red Ear Musgrove, man. That, look out. Look
Yeah.
out. And then Josh Hader. Did you realize what a year he was having? I
Dude,
did not. It's
he is
sub-1 ERA.
Yes.
It's unbelievable.
Yes, he is back to being dominant Josh Hader.
Yep. Dude, nutty what they're doing. And look out. That's all I'm saying. Look out. Don't let them get in.
Just
Don't let 'em
get in if you're the Padres. Just get in.
That's it. Hey, let's head towards our final segment. Maybe we don't have time, Will. Maybe we cut it off short, buddy. What
No,
you
let's
think?
do it real quick.
Let's do it. That's not the soundboard. That's just Will at his house celebrating his imminent victory. Let's talk about it. Week 17 results. All cards on the table. We are recording on a Friday night, so I'm sure Nolan Arenado is going to hit 7 home runs this weekend. It's not going to count for me, but Will went with Matt McClain, 5 for 17, a 294 average, 1 double, and a 686 OPS.
He hit a home run tonight.
He hit a home run tonight. That's game changer. That
Yep.
is game changer. Well, that wasn't in my statistics this afternoon.
Yeah.
Dude, so that even makes this Vic a little bit, makes me feel better, okay? I had Nolan Arenado, 2 for 12 with a 167 average. Dude, got the kiss of death from me. I'm sorry, Nolan. Gonna be okay, buddy. Not much to talk about, Will, here. You're up 9-2. Must feel good. Let's hit our Week 18 picks. Who are you going with?
Dude, I'm going to try to make you happy here.
Yep.
Going to Boston land, to the Red Sox nation. Going with your young lefty first baseman, Tristan Casas.
Casas.
He has been, for anybody who maybe doesn't watch Red Sox baseball, this guy looks like he's starting to figure some stuff out. He's
Missing out.
He's looking really good now. He's looking a lot more comfortable. Looks like he belongs. So I like what I've seen these past few weeks. So I'm going to roll with Tristan Casas this week. Boston, if they're going to make a run, they're going to have to get super hot again like they were a couple of weeks ago. And maybe they've got another run in them. And, if so, they need a guy like Casas to go on a tear for, a week or two at a time. And so that's who I'm rolling with this week.
Yep. First baseman of the future. He's a lot of fun to watch. Super nice kid. It's going to be exciting for you. I'm not rooting against him this week because I kind of feel like 9-3 versus 10-2 is kind of a wash, and I want my Red Sox to do good. So I hope he bats like 580 for you, bud.
Yep.
I went with a new face in an old place, C.J. Cron. He made his re-return to the Angels. That honestly could have been the theme of the episode. We had a lot of reunions in this trading deadline. I don't know what it was. People just You know, they wanted to get their old teammates back. C.J. Cron back to the Angels. Going to be interesting to see what he does outside of Colorado. I know he crushes lefties.
Yep.
So let's see how many lefties he faces this week. It's gonna be exciting. Battle of the first baseman. Usually when I see Will's submission, I try and go like, what's kind of similar? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, if it gets too crazy, I'm gonna start putting pitchers down, like a relief pitcher who just doesn't. You know, maybe we'll get like one perfect inning, and I'll be like, it was perfect though. I didn't see your batter go perfect, Will. Will is up 9-2. Man, that's gonna be fun. Battle of the first baseman. Guys, listen. We are at, I don't know, an hour and 15. If you're
There's a
listening,
lot to talk about, man.
yeah, I hope this was so insightful for everybody wanting to know how the trade deadline went. Any departing words here, Will? You'll be back next week. I mean, it's not like departing.
That's right.
departing.
No, we'll be back next week. But yeah, this was a good episode. I hope everybody enjoys it. I hope that for your favorite team, whoever you root for, I hope you're happy with how your team did at the trade deadline.
Savannah Bananas.
I will also give a shout out to all teachers and all students out there. You're about to begin another school year. Shout out to all the teachers, all the workers in the school, the staff. We appreciate everything that you do. As a former teacher, I know how hard it is. And so shout out to all the teachers and staff out there at the, elementary level, daycare level, middle school, high school, college. We appreciate what y'all do.
There is no doubt. Reach out to us on Twitter, guys, at BTH_. Can't follow that, Will. That's too good. That's too good, man. At BTH_Cody and at Will Sism. Let us know how your fantasy team is shaping out. I got a couple teams that I'm like, boom, we are going to crush. And I got like one that I'm like, I don't know what to do with this thing. Kind of need to just, it's kind of like a skin tag. You know what a skin tag is, Will?
I do.
Kind of want to chop it off, dude. I'm going to take it to the dermatologist, show the dermatologist my team, and see what they think I should do.
Right.
Guys, if you hit the YouTube and you're looking at our faces, thanks for doing that as well. Hit the subscribe button, leave a comment if you want to. We're not going to force you to do anything. This has been 42, and we really appreciate you guys. But until next time, thanks for listening to episode 42 of Bringing the Heat.